Okay, so I'm back to talk about the second recent project that a buddy of mine, Ian Lang, man, it's I think probably one of the best things about being a part of the film community is just the relationships that you develop with people. And Lang's a great guy. I love him like a brother. He's really a great guy, and he gave me the opportunity to work on a superhero project. And he asked me, he's like, hey, we've got this. We're working on season 2. We're raising funds for it, and I would love for you to come and direct episode 2 of season 2. And I was like, that sounds like a lot of fun. And so, I booked it. I put it on my calendar so nothing else would interfere. And so this past Saturday and Sunday, I was in Orlando and we were filming Red Hood. And then he actually created a character in there that I'm not allowed to talk about. But it was an amazing experience. I'm just gonna say that I had a ton of fun, and it was hard work, as filmmaking always is. I think that new filmmakers jump into it thinking that it's just really easy, but it is not an easy thing to do, at least to do right. So Ian and I got together, and it was so good to see him. I think he was happy to be down here in Florida because of all the snow back home. So it was nice to kind of thaw out down here in Florida. But he brought his camera crew, and about probably a month ago, before we started, I asked, well, do you want me to put together a shot list? And he was just kind of like, well, normally I kind of let the DP kind of help guide that a little bit. And I'm like, well, would you be opposed to me doing it just for, my turn to direct? And he was like, yeah, that's cool, And so he was kind enough to trust me. and so I put together a shot list, and it probably took me, it's probably about a 20-minute episode. It might end up being a 30-minute episode. It was a lot going on in the episode, but so I basically it took me probably about 3 or 4 days off and on, not solid, but off and on over 3 or 4 days to put together a shot list for the 5 main scenes that we were filming. And the script was, I think it was 24 pages for the episode, 24 pages. And there were some fight scenes, and which was super cool to be a part of. Ian is a third-degree black belt, a regional champion, and so he does all of the choreography himself, all the fight scenes and everything. So it was really cool to see him in action, literally, as he's walking these people through. And what's interesting to me was that he was working with people who didn't have a background in fight skills or anything like that. And so they were just kind of normal people. And it was amazing to watch him just kind of help them to do it. And then he would, not only was he doing, like, he was doing his moves, but he was also making sure at the same time they were doing their moves properly and that they had the right form. And I was amazed by the fact that he was able to do that. And it was just like breathing for him. So he did an amazing job with that. And then we had some really cool dialogue with a very young cast member. And I'm not exactly sure how old he is, but if I was to venture a guess, I think he's like 9, maybe 10. He might be a little older, but he was insanely talented. Like, I was blown away by his ability to deliver lines. It wasn't his first thing. He's done other things. And I was extremely impressed. And it was my first time actually having a chance to direct a child. And I have 3 kids of my own, but it's a little different when it's somebody else's kid. And also I've been used to directing adults, and so trying to make sure that they understand what you're trying to say. He was a smart kid, and what absolutely blew me away was like all of his lines. He knew them like back. Not only did he know his lines, he also knew the person he was talking to lines. So when he was talking to Ian a couple of times during a scene, and they were going back and forth with dialogue, Ian would freeze up and be like, "Oh wait, what was that line?" And the kid would know his line. I was just like, "Man, this kid is on it." He was like a typical kid. He liked to play around, and which we try to make the set fun for him, but at the same time, we wanted him to be, kind of pay attention to what's going on, because if you kind of keep the kid reined in, as all of you parents who are watching this understand, you keep them reined in so that they don't just disappear and you're like, where'd they go? And then they're playing around and all that kind of stuff. But and so Ian was really good, because most of the actors that Ian has worked with, because Ian also directs, most of the actors he's worked with are kids, and so this was like not a big deal for him, but for me, I was going into it very nervous, didn't know what to expect, and so the scene in particular that stuck out to me was a scene where we were going to put some icy hot on his close to his eye so that he would tear up for the scene, because it was a very touching scene, and it was at the very end of the shoot. So it was the last day. We were running out of time. The thing that was kind of frustrating was the search for locations that didn't go. I mean, it went okay. I wasn't super excited about some of the locations, and one in particular was supposed to be a rooftop where the fight happens. I actually wasn't super excited about it until we got there, and then I realized it's actually a pretty good location. So that location was decent. The final scene location I wasn't super happy with, because it was just like we just got to make this thing work because we've got to wrap today. And so it was very rushed, which I haven't been on a film set that's not rushed. If you have, please share your experiences with me, because I would love to know what that's like. And so this kid, we get to the part where he's supposed to be saying goodbye and he's getting emotional, and he starts crying like for real. And I'm going, and Ian looks at his mom and said, "Hey, did you already put the icy hot on his?" And she goes, "No, he's doing it." And so Ian was like, "Okay, everybody, he's going to lose this if we don't get this. We got to start recording now." And I was like, yeah, he's right. And so we got everybody in place and we started rolling right away. And that's something that I've dealt with on a couple of sets where there's crying. Is typically a good rule of thumb. If an actor is trying to get into a state of mind where they're supposed to express some sort of emotion, and usually sad emotions, don't start joking around on set. I mean, everybody just needs to be respectful of the actor who's trying to kind of get in the zone, and just shut up. Just let them be in their mode. Don't try to talk to them. Just leave them alone. Let them get in that state of mind, and don't do anything. Just yell action when it's time to go. And I've heard of stories where people will be joking around and cracking jokes while one of the cast members are supposed to be crying during a scene. They can't get into that state of mind because they just the laughing is just distracting them, and it does not help them get there. And so, as a word of advice, friendly advice, just let your actor do. They came there to do a job, and so don't throw up any roadblocks by joking around or being loud or distracting them in any way. The actress that I used on a feature film I'm working on right now, as a personal project, she thinks about her daughter as part of her process. So she thinks about her daughter, and she thinks about something tragic happening to her daughter. And that's what works for her. she's tried other family members, none of that works. It's just her daughter. So that motherly instinct really helps to kind of push her along to a state of just being very sad. Um, and so, yeah, it was an amazing opportunity. And I even kind of teared up as the director. And I knew it was all fake, but that kid was like, man, he was in it. He was method. So a lot of props on him, and a great job to Ian for casting him. So I hope soon we'll be able to share the episode that I direct, and along with the whole season. So if you like superhero things, it's clean. I recommend you check it out. So anyway, it was fun.